Joining us tonight, Congressman Cammack from House Homeland Security, along with former Detroit Police Chief James Craig. Okay, Congresswoman, President Biden visits New York. It's good to see you both, by the way. The president is coming to New York City this week. We've got the murders of 2 New York City cops, rising violent crime. But I'd like you both to listen to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. She's being called out for this. Watch.
If you look at Fox on a daily basis, I mean, do you remember the 4 boxes that we had on all the TVs, right? Which is on my TV right now. So right now, just to give you a sense, so CNN, Pentagon, as many as 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened alert. Okay, true. Same on MSNBC. CNBC is doing their own thing about the market. And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what does that even mean, right? So there's an alternate universe on some coverage. What's scary about it is a lot of people watch that and they think that the president isn't doing anything to address people's safety in New York, and that couldn't be farther than the truth.
Your reaction, Congresswoman?
Wow, that is infuriating. And, you know, I just think of the words of President Trump, everything woke goes to crap. In this case, everything woke seems to be turning into crime or chaos. And for Jen Psaki to say that there is an alternate reality out there, how about she say that to the wife and family of the firefighter who was battling a fire, a blaze, who was shot just today? This administration is so out of touch. It's clear that they are so hell-bent on an agenda of dependency and control, making Americans dependent on big government so that they can maintain control, that they have forgotten that everything they touch goes to either crime or chaos. We have 30% increase in murders just in 2020. As the wife of a first responder, I can tell you the fact that we have ballistic vests on fire trucks and officers retiring at record rates, that is the truth, that is the reality, and the White House needs to get with the program.
Captain, to the Congresswoman's point, what was your reaction when you heard this? I mean, the Fox News' Jackie Heinrich asked Jen Psaki about her comments. She's pushing back, saying the White House is tough on crime and the president is against defunding the police. When you heard that sound, what did you hear? What was your reaction?
My reaction is simply this: comedy. I was appalled. She's dismissive. She's smug. And, you know, having served over 4 decades in law enforcement as a public servant is disrespect. What do you say to the wife of the slain police officer? What do you say to the victims, mostly people of color and vulnerable communities, and she dismisses it? It's shameful. And I got to tell you, they want to throw money at it. They talk about police reform, social services. No, this is not about that. It's about policies, failed policies, and they want to understand and try to figure out how to reduce crime. They don't care. Their agenda truly is they don't really care. And let me just say this. Yeah. It's time for voters to step up and vote for folks like me in Michigan, who's running for governor, who is going to be strong on crime. This must stop now.
You know, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake. You're a former police chief. Forgive me for that. We have the Cook County Sheriff, Tom Dart. Okay, Tom Dart in Chicago. He's a Cook County Sheriff in Chicago. 90 people accused of murder set free with electronic monitoring ankle devices in Chicago, along with 40 charged with attempted murder. More than 850 charged with aggravated gun possession. Congresswoman, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot says this is a fundamentally broken system. It's making Americans unsafe. I want you to listen to the widow of the former police captain. He is David Dorn. He was murdered trying to help a pawn shop owner protect his business during the 2020 riots. Listen to this. Watch.
You know, our prosecutor is not doing her job. Prosecutors across the country are not doing their jobs and holding people accountable. The man that murdered my husband was on probation for 2 armed robberies. He committed 1 armed robbery, was on probation, committed a 2nd armed robbery, and was given a 2nd probation. How does that happen? He should have been in jail. If he'd been in jail, my husband may still be alive today.
What's your reaction to that, Congresswoman?
It's heartbreaking. You know, again, as the wife of a first responder, my husband's a SWAT medic. He sees the most dangerous situations happening in our community. And I think of the work that he and his team do. You arrest these violent criminals, and then the very next day they're out on bail. What is the point? It's no wonder that there's so low morale amongst all of our departments. But this is what happens when you allow these Soros-backed candidates, these George Soros-backed candidates that have these liberal policies under so-called bail reform, which are really just a conduit to increase crime in our communities. It is a fact that when you are weak on crime, when you continue to push these social justice warrior programs that are designed to trap people in poverty, in dangerous situations, that you're not going to give them an avenue to get out. And that is what this entire administration is all about. And for Jen Psaki and this administration to say that they are tough on crime, that they don't support the defunding of police, where were they last March when we were fighting tooth and nail in the House as Nancy Pelosi voted to defund police? They were nowhere to be found. In fact, they were cheering. And same thing with the Chicago mayor. She was nowhere to be found week after week after week when people were getting murdered in her community. Now it's a political problem,
And
so now she's speaking out.
And Democrats in the Senate filibustered Senator Tim Scott's criminal justice reform bill. Chief, your final word on organized gangs in California looting freight trains and stealing from retailers. Now we've got Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Forbes magazine reporting that these retailers are now having to turn their in-store cameras into facial recognition technology because there's $69 billion stolen. It's up massive double digits since, I think it's up like 65% since 2019. These thieves are arrested and they're out of jail within 24 hours in many districts.
It's clear to me, Liz, it's one thing, no consequences. Do you think you're going to change the crime problem by arresting and letting them out? No, there's no consequences. Let's talk about the violence against police officers. These suspects are emboldened because they know they're being supported by these socialist radical lefties who will continue to do the same thing. It's not going to change. We keep talking about police reform. Let's put money into social programs. Look, I support social programs, but at the end of the day, we have got to make sure there are consequences. People need to be held accountable because some folks don't need to be in our society, especially when they're violent. They need to be locked up. And I'm going to tell you, this is not going to change. And oh, by the way, most important, we got to support our men and women who go out and serve every day. We got to support them.
Congresswoman Kat Cammack, Chief James Craig, good luck with your campaign. It's great to have you both on. Come back again soon.